guys. Welcome back. I'm glad you're here. Right now, I want you to take a moment, grab your TI-84, please. Grab the wrapping calculator. Um, and so I'll just talk. So we are starting Unit 11. It's the Introduction to Statistics. So, if you have never heard of statistics before, it's statistics is just a brief introduction to this branch of mathematics that deals with collection, organization, analysis, and interpretation of numerical data. So it's especially useful in drawing general conclusions about a set of data from a sample of the data. So I might say data and data interchangeably. It might be because I'm from Mississippi. I told you that at the beginning of the year. I got an accent. I say words funny. I say words wrong. But that's okay. So anyways, the first lesson we're going to do, we're going to talk about the measures of central tendency and also look at how we can plot these things on something called a box and whiskers plot. Okay? So, just to kind of get an idea about that, we're going to take some notes. We're going to start here. On page 3 in your notes. Okay? So, just starting at the top, make sure you got your graphing calculator out to the side. You're going to need it. So, starting at the top, it says a measure of central tendencies. A measure of central tendencies. Sounds like a weird combination of words, but a measure of central tendencies is a description of statistics or a list of numbers. So statistics is, in a sense, in general, just a list of numbers. That's just one part. So there's also these other parts that we can measure from the list of numbers. We can gather the mean. It's also known as the average. Like we say, the average score is 50%. So if 30 kids take a test and the average score is 50%, that's basically it. And then something called the median or the middle number. The mode, it's the number that occurs the most in the list of numbers. The next one is the range. So the biggest number in the list of numbers minus the smallest number. And the last one that's important here is called the standard deviation. Standard deviation. So it's a predictor of statistics. We'll leave it at that for today. The first part we want to cover is the mean. The mean, let's say I get a list of numbers. I can add these numbers up. That's what this means. I add all my list of numbers up. So look at my list below. Here's the sum. I have a list, 2, 6, and 10. The sum of these numbers is on the top. And then the number of numbers is on the bottom. So here, there's 3 numbers. So I divide it. I get that the average of 2, 6, and 10 is 6. Now, do the next one. I have my list of statistics here, 2 and 6. So I have the sum over the number. So the sum of 2 pluses 2 and 6, so 2 plus 6, divided by how many numbers? 1, 2, 2. That equals 12 divided by 2. 12 divided by 2 is 6. That's my final answer. That's the mean of those 2 numbers. Now we're going to get the mean of the last 3 numbers, 4, 10, and 1. So I add the sum on the top And then I divide by 1, 2, 3 numbers. I get 4 plus 10 plus 1 is 15. 15 divided by 3 equals 5. The average here is 5. Now, the symbol for mean, we have two different symbols for mean. So go back up, use this space, mean. The symbol for mean could be an X with a bar over the top, or it could be this cursive U. Both of these represent the mean interchangeably. So moving on, we're going to talk about something called the median. The median. You might also see it abbreviated as MED. So the median is the middle number when numbers are written in order. So the first thing we're going to do, we're going to find the median of each list, but the first thing we're going to do is write the numbers in order. So we always start with the smallest number. So here, my list is 12, 7, 10, 3, 5. So I'm just going to write these numbers in order. 3, 5, 7, 10, and 12. Second thing we're going to do is count these numbers. Make sure there's an odd list of numbers here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'm going to find the number that falls in the middle of this list of 5. Well, 7 is my middle number. So the median here is just 7. Okay? My next list is 12, 4, 0, 16, and 8. So I'm going to write the numbers in order. 0, 8, 12, 14, 16. And count my numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's an odd list. So 12 is my middle number. 12 is my answer. Last list is 0, 2, 3 in order. My middle number is obviously 2. So my answer for my median is 2. Okay? So we're going to move on to what happens when there's an even number of numbers and you're trying to find a median. So when there are an even number of numbers, the median is the average of the two middle numbers when the numbers are placed in order. So we're going to look at what that means. Okay, we have our list, and if you look, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 numbers. This is an even list of numbers. I'm going to put them in order. 2, 3, 5, 7, 10, and 12. And here I have two middle numbers. I have two middle numbers. So my median is going to be the average when there's an even list of numbers. So average would be 5 plus 7 divided by 2, or 12 divided by 2, which is my final answer is 6. Okay? So we're always going to be dividing the middle two numbers. Look at the next set of numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. So I got to get my middle two numbers. I have 0, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. My middle two numbers here are 10 and 12. So 10 plus 12 divided by 2 equals 22 divided by 2, or just 11. Okay? So go ahead, look at the last one. Put your numbers in order. So if you got stuck, it's 0, 1, 2, 3. My middle number is 1 and 2. Remember, these are even, so I'm adding those two middle numbers. Divided by 2, I get 3 divided by 2, or 1.5 is my final answer. Okay? So that was the mean and the median. The next part we're going to cover relates to the range and the smallest number and the biggest number. So when I get a list of numbers, my biggest number is called a maximum. It's called a maximum. That's what maximum means in math. It's the biggest number. So looking at my first list of numbers here, looking right here, okay? So what is my biggest number in this list of numbers? So if I look through 12, 7, 7, 10, 3, 5,
my biggest number is 12. So for my maximum, I would write 12. Now, going back up to the vocabulary here, the minimum is your smallest number in the list of numbers. My smallest number here is 3. Now, the next measure of central tendency is called the range. So the range is that biggest number minus the smallest number, or the maximum minus the minimum. So 12 minus 3, and my range is 9. Okay? Now your mode is the number that occurs the most. So which numbers occurs the most? Which numbers repeat in this list of numbers? 7 repeats. So 7 is my mode. So the mode is the number that occurs the most in a list. So make sure you have those definitions. Make sure you've done the first problem here. So we're going to move on, and we're going to do this problem and this problem. Okay? So the first thing we're going to do is identify the mode. We're going to identify that number that occurs the most in this list. My list says 12, 14, 0, 16, 8, 0. Ask yourself, which number occurs the most? Which number repeats? Well, I have a 0 and a 0. So my mode is 0. Well, what's my smallest number here? My smallest number is 0. So my minimum is 0. Now, the maximum. We want you to find the maximum. What's the biggest number in this list? 16. These are things you can do. So my answer here will be 16. And the last thing they ask, is what is the range? So what's that maximum minus the minimum? So let's see. What's 16 minus 0? What's my range? It is 16. My range is 16. Now, my last problem here. First thing we're going to do, find the mode. Well, look for the repeating values. We have 1, 1, and 1. It occurs 3 times. And then we have 2 and 2 that occurs 2 times. Then 3 and 3 that occurs 2 times as well. So my mode, the number that occurs the most is 1. The smallest number is 0. The biggest number is 3. And my range is 3 minus 0, or just 3. Okay? So just to recap, the mode is the number that occurs the most. The maximum is the biggest number in the list. The minimum is the smallest number in the list. The range is the biggest number minus the smallest number. Okay? So, our next step is to use our TA84s. So make sure you have this out. We're going to be doing some statistics, and we're going to be using this list of numbers to find the statistics of that list of numbers. Some of them we're still going to have to figure out on our own, but going to the TI-84, you're going to press stat. So look on your calculator, look right by the bottom arrow here, this arrow, and you'll see stats right here. Press stat. Okay? After that, you're going to press 1 for edit. So we're pressing 1 for edit. Okay? Step 3. Okay? We're going to enter this list of numbers into list 1. So the way you do that, if you hold on, I'll go to my calculator here. So things you should have done already. You should have pressed stat. You should have pressed enter for edit. I have a list already there, so I'm going to go up, press up. So my black part is shaded. It's shaded for L1. Press clear, press enter, and it clears my list. And then I'm going to put the list of numbers in. Okay? So I have 200. Enter, press enter. I have 150. Press enter. I have 250, press enter, and I have 300, press enter. I have 150, press enter. I have 100, enter, and 250, press enter. So I want to make sure I have 6 numbers, or 7, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So at the bottom, in the blank space, it should say L18, but if I go up to 250, it should say L17. So that means I have 7 numbers there. The next step we're going to do, step 3, we're going to find the statistics. So we're going to go back and press stat, press stat. I'm going to, step 4, right arrow over to calc. So I'm press my right arrow button and press down and press 1 for one variable stat. So I press 1. And then I go down, I see it says list 1, I go press down, a down arrow, and then I press enter on calculate. So I can navigate up and down. If you notice at the top it says one var stat, it means one variable statistic. So it means we have one list. But we can go up and down. And I'm going to tell you what these symbols mean. So we're going to go back to our notes and look at this information. Okay? So let me minimize this. Okay? Now, in our notes, we're going to use a table that's provided to fill in these things. So if you look at the next page, sorry, a little bit fast, went a little bit too fast there. But if you look at the next page, the symbols are right by the word. So the mean, it calculates it for you, unlike you doing it by hand. Your mean is the number, the statistic, the X bar. So if I go back to my calculator, my mean is 200. It's 200. So the X bar, this is my mean, 200. So I'm going to write 200 right here. And I want you to get practice with this, using this X bar. X bar equals, using these symbols. X bar equals 200. Your median should be MED. We're going to go find that middle number. What's our middle number? The calculator calculates it for us. So I'm going to use my down arrow on my calculator here to find the median. Here's my mean. We're not worried about these numbers. We're not worried about this. This is called a standard deviation. Here's the list. How many numbers are in the list? That's what n is. Okay? I'm going to keep going down. Keep going down until I reach the bottom of this list. And if you look, you see the minimum, the quartile. It's called a quartile. Q1 is first quartile. We'll talk about what that is. You see the median, it's 200. You see third quartile, it's 250. And you see the maximum, it's 300. If you notice, you don't see the mode, and you do not see the range. But let's keep going. The median is 200. My median is equal to 200. Now, go back to your statistics, get the minimum. The minimum is 100. So I write min, or you can write min x equals 100. And your maximum, or mxx equals, so that's statistics, and the maximum is 300. The biggest number is 300. Now the range is the maximum minus the minimum, or 300 minus 100. My range is 200. This is something you have to calculate yourself. It's not in your calculator. But your upper quartile range, we'll talk about what this means. It's 1/4 of your numbers basically, but it's in your calculator. Q3 says 250, 250. So write Q3, it's 250. Q1, or my first quartile number statistic, is 150. And the last thing they want is the standard deviation. It's this O with like a hair flip on the side, on the top, I guess. O with a hair flip. That's how I look at it.
So I'm going to go back to this calculator, find that O with a hair flip.
I'm going to erase all this color here. So press up. And where's this OX? This is the number we're looking for here. It says OX right here, or sigma X. It's called sigma. It's 65 points. We're going to round up 47. 47. So 65.47. All right. The last thing we want to find is our mode. What number occurs the most in that list of numbers? So if I go back to my list of numbers and I look, I see two numbers that occur the most. 150 occurs twice. 250 occurs twice. So my mode is actually two numbers this time. It's 250 and 300 because they both occur the most equally. So we're going to answer this question at the bottom of the page. It says, using the statistics,
There we go. Which of the following is true? So I'm going to try to make sure the statistics are showing so we can go through them one at a time. So there we go.
So A, is this statement true? Is the mean score is 50 less than the highest score. So my highest score is 300. My mean is 200. And so it says it's 50 less. That's 50 less than. So 300 minus 50 equals 250. So is 250 equal to 200? No, this is false. This is false. So it can't be A. What about B? The mean and the median are the same. Well, the mean is 200 and the median is 200. So yes, this is true. This is true. Let's check the next one. The range is 400. So 300 minus 100 equals 200. Nope. The range is 200. So this is false. This is false. Second statement is true. The last statement, the mean is greater than the range. So the mean is 200. Is it greater? Is this statement true? Greater than the range, which is 200. Nope. The mean is equal to the range. So this is false. So the answer to this question is, which of the following is true? B is true. B is true. That's the answer. Okay? So we're going to move on to something called the box and whiskers plot. So I'm going to show you how to use it. I'm going to show you what it looks like. Okay? And so you have classwork after this. So I'm going to do the first two problems on both sets of your classwork. All right? So the box and whiskers plot is a way to plot our data. Okay? So I think we're ready. So, all right. So a box and whiskers plot, it helps us organize that list. It helps us organize the list of numbers or the data that we collect. And basically what it does is it uses the median, if you don't remember. It's one of those statistics we just covered. It also uses the upper, so Q3 and Q1, the upper and lower quartiles. Okay? And the extremes. So So when we talk about extremes, we're referring to the minimum number, or the smallest number, and the maximum in that list of numbers. Okay? Alright, so the upper quartile, or we call it Q3, is the number in the middle of the upper and lower extremes. Or let's refer to this differently. Let's call this of the maximum and the minimum. We call it extremes. Okay? The lower quartile is the number in the lower. Sorry, it's the number in the middle Sorry guys, we gotta backtrack a little bit. Let's backtrack a little bit here. I wrote that incorrectly. Okay, so erase that. And write Q3 again. Alright? So the upper quartile is the number in the middle of the median. Excuse me, the median. So we're going to be looking right here. It's in the middle. It's right here. It's this right here, this number right here. It's Q3. It's called Q3. It's in the middle of the median. Here's my median. So I want you to write this down. This is my median on the box and whiskers plot. Q3 is this number following this arrow. It's between the median and the maximum. So my maximum always goes at the very end on the right. But my lower quartile, so we put upper extreme or maximum. Alright. My lower quartile is called Q1. It's number in the middle of the median. So I'm going to do this in red here. So here's my median. It's in the middle of this box and whiskers plot. For my Q1, my lower quartile, this is Q1 here. It's in the middle of that median and the minimum, or the lower extreme. Okay? So we're going to go down below. We're going to label what we just talked about. So here's my minimum. It's the smallest number. Okay? So I'm going to use the data from before to kind of think about what we did. Actually, we use this data here. Never mind. Okay? Q1, or quartile 1, located here. My median's already there. Here's Q3. It's at the end of that box. Quartile 3. Okay? I'm going to erase all of this information here. Then I'm going to go down and look at this list of numbers. So it says, here is some data. Here is some data. So what we're going to do with this number line here, it's number 10 to 110, is we're going to use this data to basically outline it on a box and whiskers plot. So that means you're going to have to draw your own little box and whiskers. The first thing you need for your box and whiskers, you need a minimum, you need a maximum, you need a Q1, you need a Q3, and you need a median. So we're going to use our calculators to do this. So pick up your graphic calculator, keep that list handy, and we're going to go back to our calculators here. We're going to press statistics. And remember, we already put a list in there before, so we're going to have to clear out that list. So we're going to press Stats, press Enter for Edit, and I need to clear out this list, so you need to listen very carefully. You press the up arrow. Your it should be black on L1, and you're going to press Clear, and you're going to press Enter. So if you didn't get that, you press Up, Clear, Enter. Do it again. Up, Clear, Enter. Alright, so now you should be ready to enter those numbers. So, my list of numbers starts with 15. Alright? So 15, enter. 25, enter. 30, enter. 35, enter. It should be on list 1, it should say L15 right now, so make sure you have the right number. Okay? What's next? 45, enter. 55, enter. 65, enter. Make sure you're on the right list number. It should be on L18 right now. So my next number is 85, enter. 95, enter. 105. After I press enter, it should say L111. 10 numbers. So we're going to get that minimum. We're going to get that range. Minimum, the maximum, the median, and what else do I need? Minimum, maximum, median, Q1, Q3. So I press Stats, and I go to Calc by pressing my arrow button, press Enter for one variable stat. If you're confused, I'm going to do it again. Press Stats, go over to Calc, press Enter for one variable stat, and I go down to Calculate, to black on Calculate, press Enter. And I see everything I need, so I'm going to have you go ahead and write this information down. Okay? So you're going to have to use your arrow buttons to go down to get the information that you need, which is the minimum is 15, Q1 is 30, the median is 50, Q3 is 85, the maximum is 105. Okay? So if you haven't written that down already, let's go ahead and do that. Use your calculator. My minimum is 15. My maximum. So my minimum starts right about here. So I'm going to go up and make a little note. That's my minimum. It's 15. Just make a little note. Minimum. Alright? Now, Q1 is 30. So remember, Q1 is the edge of the box. So Q1 is 30. Q1 is 30. Writing that down. So at 30, here's Q1. This is Q1. And this is my edge of my box. That means my first whisker, it's like a cat's whiskers. First whisker is right here. Here's the middle. Here's Q1. Okay? Now, my median comes next. That's this line here. My median comes next. Alright? So my median is 50. It equals 50. So at 50, here's my median. So I'm going to go up and create a little line here. Connect this first rectangle. Here's my median. It's right here. M-E-D. My median. Now I'm going to get the second rectangle by finding Q3. Well, Q3, if I look at my calculator, it's 85. So 85 is between 80 and 90. Here's Q3. So I'm going to create a straight line. It's the edge of that box, or the edge of the rectangle, the second rectangle. Here's Q3. I'm going to label it Q3. Alright? And then the last part of this is my other whisker, and it stretches out to the maximum. Well, the maximum is 105. This number is between 100 and 110. So I'm going to create my maximum, and there we go. That is a box and a whiskers plot. I'm going to write MAX for max. So we're going to be doing that in your classwork. You're going to be getting the statistics, and you're going to be creating a box and whiskers plot. So on page 7, it's statistics only. And then we're going to go to page 8 for the box and whiskers plot. But I tell you what, I will switch it up so that you do your box and whiskers plot with the statistics. But I'll have to go back and forth interchangeably, so you have to bear with me here. Okay? So you're going to need your graphing calculator. We're going to do number 1, and you're going to do the rest of them on your own. So we're going to get all of those statistics, all those measures of central tendency, the mean, median, minimum, maximum, range, for quartile, lower quartile, standard deviation, and mode. The first thing we're going to do is get the mode. So we ask ourselves, looking at the list, 39, 51, 43, 51, 43, which number occurs the most? And it's 43. Okay? You can always just independently do that without the calculator. Now your range, the biggest number minus the smallest number. So we ask ourselves, what's 51 minus 39? Well, that equals 12. Your biggest number, your maximum is 51. Smallest number is 39. These are things you can do independent of your calculator. But this other information, we're going to need to go to our calculator. So let me go pull up my graphing calculator here. And we're going to put this list of numbers in. We're going to press stats, go to edit. Remember to clear, you press up, clear, enter, and put our numbers in. We have 39, enter, 51, enter, we're at L13, 43, enter, 51, enter, 43, enter. And then we go to stats, and go to the right arrow over the tab, press enter for 1, variable stats, and there's our information. So I'm going to press down, use the down arrow to get all the stuff I need. And I could just check, make sure my minimum and my maximum is correct, and it is. But Q1, median, and Q3, so Q1's 41, median's 43, and Q3 is 51. So 41 for Q1, 43 for the median, 51 for Q3. What other statistic we need is a standard deviation here. So we go back to our calculator and we press up. And the standard deviation is right here. It's that little signal, 4.8. It's 4.8, so I'm going to write 4.8 there. And we're going to go over and plot this information. So make sure that you have that information down. Make sure you have for the mean. You have, it's not up there. Let me put the mean. I forgot. The one statistics, 45.4. 45.4. Okay? Anyways. So we're going to go to the second page here, or I am, you're not. But you should see the box and whisker plot. So we're going to plot this information on this box and whiskers plot, okay? So just to make sure we're on the right page here, you need that information from before. You need that mean of 45.4, 43, 39 is your minimum, 51 is your maximum, the range is 12, your upper quartile is 51, lower quartile is 41, standard deviation is 4.8, and your mode is 43. Okay? So, looking at my box and whiskers plot here, we're going to plot this information on this plot.
So, at the very end is my minimum. My minimum on my list says 39. I'm going to write 39 here. It's my minimum. Okay? Now, my Q1 is 41. My median is 43. And my Q3 is 51. And my highest is 51. Okay? So we're just putting numbers on here, and we're going to write minimum, Q1, median, Q3, and maximum. So we get used to knowing where these things are located. So what I want you to do is I want you to complete the rest of this. I want you to refer back to the first problem that we just did. We gathered the statistics, we put them in our calculator, and then we plotted those statistics. So I want you to do the same thing. Okay? It might take a couple times, but you can do this. Finish this classwork. It's going to be due next class. Have a good day, guys. Please be working on your JLabs. Also, we will be starting SOL prep after this last unit. We'll have a very short test for this unit. You will be expected to pretty much identify the statistics or the measures of central tendency, and then you'll be expected to create a Fox and Whiskers plot, and then you'll be doing calculating something called a Z-score, but that's lesson 2. So I hope you guys have a good day. Hope you are kind to yourselves, your teachers, and your parents. Bye, guys.